And now, another GJRB Schedule update. Here he is, Gary J. Russell.
And hello everyone, hello everywhere across America and around the world. I'm Gary J. Russ, and this is a GJRB Schedule Update podcast. A scheduled somewhat short podcast talking about our program schedule and how our program schedule is going to work. Now, I'm going to be doing this along with a video later on, and I always say this every time I do a podcast of this particular sort, but things get in the way. I've got so many production duties that I perform each day, and what happens is this falls by the wayside. And every time that I've ever done a video combination thing like this, the video never happens. And I'm sorry about that. I know a lot of people wait for that, and I'm not sure. I don't get that many listeners anyway. I really care. Not that I don't, I do. It's just that I don't get many followers listening to me or checking out our programming. And what happens is, like I said, video falls by the wayside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, at this point, mark down the time. I'm going to refer to the video. I have it on screen on here on the internet. I have it on screen here on the computer on a document, on a Word document. And it's the schedule rotation for our programming. The spontaneous broadcasting. It's a schedule rotation. Okay. And I'm looking for that right now. Should be here. I had it saved into this rundown. This automation rundown. And I know I put it in here. Okay. Now I can't find it. Why is that? It's hard to say. Time calculations here. No, I don't. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my email where I know I have it. Okay, I'm going to go to my email. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pull over my email and bring that up. Be reading it off there, but I will have the document videoed through my EasyVid, okay, and then it'll show you the rotation. But this rotation that you're about to see right now, popping it up right now, here it is. Okay, this is the rotation that I have for our program schedule here on GJRB. Okay, this is going to be what we're going to do. Now, from now till September, this is going to be the new spontaneous schedule lineup. I'm going to be following this rotation. Okay, I'm going to be following this in exact order, starting with the music format. And what you see here is the program format under each music genre, starting off with the program music format for Christian rock, main format. And that's our main format, the Positive Rock Show Emerging Sunday or Emerging Monday. Now that means that we do broadcast on Sundays here on GJRB Online. We do broadcast on Sundays. And we do bringing you some Sunday programming. That will include our church services rebroadcast live from my voice recorder. Last week's church services got deleted accidentally, so I wasn't able to bring it to you. I don't know about this week because I wasn't there. So I'm hoping I'm going to check with the website of the church to see if maybe perhaps it's there and I can dub it off. the Positive Rock Show Emerging Sunday and Emerging Monday, but I'm going to broadcast the church services this week, and it'll be live stream on Sunday afternoon. So watch for postings on the GJRB Spreaker public site, Twitter, Google+, wherever we broadcast from. Okay, it'll be there. Then on Tuesdays, we have Twin Spin Tuesday. Like I said before, this is all going to follow in a rotated order, okay, under each format. And I'm going to start at the top, the first two. I'll talk about this later. And then we're going to start at the bottom with the bottom two and meet in the middle so that each program gets its fair share of air, okay? Now, we're going to go down now to the middle of the road format, which is format 2. The one we just got done with, Gary J. in the morning. Okay, now that regularly airs almost every Tuesday morning, unless I have another planned broadcast. This will get rotated. This program gets rotated with the Positive Rock Show Twin Spin Tuesday. And that gets a rotation. With that. Now, Gary J will be where some weeks we'll have Gary J in the morning and Gary J in the afternoon the same week. I'm even thinking about doing a Gary J in the morning and a Gary J in the afternoon one day. We'll be on the air all day on the FM 9-foot signal Spreaker FM, and I would have two shows going on at the same time, especially when we go to the 3-hour plan. I'm planning on having 3 hours on the air and be able to be broadcasting constantly all day long with programs, either automated, voice tracked, or live. And this is how we're going to do it. Okay, we're going to see how each program fits into a puzzle. As I told you before, I'm continuously working on that schedule puzzle, hoping that maybe perhaps that schedule puzzle will be solved by the time we get to fall, where I can have a schedule. And I'm going to be trying different schedules that I've already written and produced. Remember all those schedules I had? It didn't work out. Well, I'm going to try them again. So I'm going to be trying different schedules during this spontaneous summer. From now until clear into September, we're going to be doing it this way. Spontaneous broadcasting. I'm going to try to be on every day with programming. Okay, every day. Now, this month, last month I promised you Radioland. Never got it on the air. Last week I had promised you a crooner's request show. Never got on the air. See, this is the reason why I'm telling you. The reason why I'm putting this program schedule in spontaneous is if I promise you a program and it doesn't air, it bugs the heck out of me. Because I'm trying to, put on a broadcast. I'm trying to run a regular radio station with regular programming. And when these programs don't air, it frustrates the living freaking daylights out of me. It does. I don't like the fact that I cannot air these programs that I promise you. That's why I don't promise you programs that I can't deliver. Okay? And so I'm getting to a point where I think I need to do is just go on the air whatever. That means either morning, noon, or night. Don't matter. I have a lot of things going on outside the station. I work at the Church of Christ doing various things. So it might end up where some programs might be coming from there. I might be doing some different programming, and we're trying to get the church services broadcast live via live stream here on Spreaker. But I'm not going to do that until I upgrade to 3 hours. Once I upgrade this to 3 hours, I'll be able to broadcast the church services. Now, I just got an offer this morning as presenter with WBR-FM. They are a follower here on Spreaker. They are another station. If I get involved with that, that'll also determine the program schedule here on GJRB. Because I'm going to still do this. I'm going to still do this station and that station. and whatever else. Now, if it starts to get a little crazy, one's got to go. Okay, but for now, this is how it's going to work out. Okay, and once you get to the 3-hour plan, I'll be able to broadcast more often here on Spreaker with more programming. Okay, now I've got this thing again available so that you can listen to this schedule update on SoundCloud. It's available there. So you can listen to it there. You can listen to it here on Spreaker. I suggest if you are a listener of Spreaker and you like this station and you like all the other stations that I follow. Okay, if you like all the stations that I follow, including all the programs that I follow, the podcasts that I follow, Bob Huber, Mike Myers, all these guys, all the fabulous ones, OBFSU, John, out of Texas. You'll hear these guys if you get on, if you have a tablet, if you have a phone, you can just apply for the Spreaker app. And I'll talk about that later on as this broadcast goes on. The Spreaker app. I'll talk about that, so stay tuned for that. But for right now, though, we want to talk about this the schedule. Going on now, heading into jazz. Now, jazz has been one that's been regularly on the air the first of each month. This past month, I got sick. So I had to cancel the jazz last weekend. Okay? But it has been rescheduled for this Friday and Saturday. Okay, I rescheduled it for this weekend. So the jazz is on the air this weekend. I'll be on the air Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock Central Time for the best of for the smooth afternoon. What you see there is the best of jazz, smooth afternoon, smooth evening, and the wave of smooth jazz. Now, for this month and for next month, June, those jazz programs regularly heard the first of the month are going to be moved over to the second week of the month, just for May and June. Okay, just for May and June. For July, we'll go right back up to the first of the month. So it'll go back to its regular scheduled time slot in July. Okay, the first week in July, we'll go back to the jazz weekend being the first Friday. Okay? Just to let you know about that, that will only be 2 months only. This month and next month, we're going to have the smooth jazz in the second week of the month. But I decided that that will be the only one that will stay in that scheduled time slot. The other programs are going to get shuffled around, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to be doing some different things with our program schedule. The whole month, this month, and next month, July, August, and maybe part of September is all going to be spontaneous. That means whatever time, whatever day we go on, we're going to try to be on every day with all these programs. And we're going to be shuffling the programs around in the schedule. So they're going to, the schedule rotation you see on this video is what's going to happen. I'm going to run this in order from top to bottom and from bottom to top. So all the programs are going to get rotated that way. Now, like I said, I have two different formats of this radio station. The main format being the music of Christian rock. As I mentioned earlier, the Positive Rock Show, Emerging Sunday, Emerging Monday, and I forgot to type in Rock Worship. That's also in there. Okay, Rock Worship, which is, I'm going to type that in. As a matter of fact, when this is airing as a video, it will already be in. Okay, so I already have that typed in. Going to Build the Road, as I mentioned earlier. You just heard the show, Gary J in the morning. Then I have Gary J in the afternoon and GJRB Music. That's just automated music. It's just automated music programming. It's a filler between programs. I use that on the local side and here on Spreaker as fillers between programs. And basically that's all that is. otherwise. Going into jazz, as I mentioned earlier, the best of jazz heard the first Saturday of the month. Smooth jazz, smooth afternoon, smooth evening. Some weeks we might just do smooth evening. I might be rotating now every other Friday. I might even every 2 weeks. During that, I'm planning on trying a smooth evening, because we haven't done that in a while, and I do like to run the smooth jazz in the evening. So we might be doing smooth evening. The way of a smooth jazz, again, is an automated music filler. Going to adult standards. Under that, adult standards is Crooners. Music and Memories is a brand new show coming up real soon, featuring the music of the Great American Songbook. That's Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Patti Page, going all the way to the early 50s, late 40s, early 50s. Some of the really good songs, and it's just adult standards. So it's going to be a great show. Music and Memories. I play the great adult standards and share some memorable stuff, trivia. So it's kind of a mix of radio, television, and movie classics, trivia. I do Americana, which wasn't, is no more. Play some music, and it's a great mixture of stuff called Music and Memories. Share your memories with me, and I'll talk about them on the air. The other show, of course, falls under that, is Swing Time. That's my big band show. That's the 1940s. That's Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, all those guys. Frank Sinatra singing with Tommy Dorsey. All those. The Tommy Dorsey Orchestra, Count Basie, all the big band era stuff. That's Swing Time. And I love playing that music. It's a great sound. I love that sound. The big band era features Swing Time. Then we go to country, western, and bluegrass. Under that falls Bluegrass Jubilee, and the new one we just started a few months ago. I think it was back in March, if I'm not mistaken. We did a new show called Classic Country. And that's playing old country music from Hank Williams all the way up into Randy Travis, guys like that. The old to the new, or the newest. So that really goes back to the 1940s and 50s all the way up through the 80s and 90s. And we even maybe include some of the new ones and some of the currents, but mostly classic country. And it's a great show. I enjoyed my first show. As a matter of fact, I might even repeat it to get some people listening. So you might be hearing that again soon. They rebroadcasted that last show in voice track form. So be listening for that one for a repeat of that show. Great program. I really enjoyed doing that. Under rock and roll, it's a good times, great oldies show. 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll. That's had a golden weekend about almost 2 months ago already. In fact, I did that in March. So it's been every 2 months regularly so far. Was been our golden weekend. But under this new plan, that golden weekend will probably be on more often. Maybe once a month for now. Maybe we'll do golden weekends more often, like every alternating weekends. We'll try that. Various things with our format. So, good times, great oldie show on more often. That's format number 6. Under that format also, genre, under that genre includes 1980s music. Now, again, another great era. I started being a DJ in the 80s. I started playing music in the 80s. So, I mean, this is when I was really full force, going into broadcasting school in Cleveland and stuff like that. And the 80s bring back a lot of memories to me. So, the 1980s, definitely one of my favorite formats. 80s rock. One of my followers, of course, is BJ, a guy out of Texas, Black Dragons Radio. Love his music because he plays a lot of the same music I play with the 80s. And Black Dragon, you are heard on my 9-foot FM signal if you're listening. It's a closed-circuit FM signal called All 80s 106.7. And it's a closed-circuit 9-foot signal. and I play a lot of 80s. I have 2 80s shows, one called Rockin' 80s and 80s Flashback. 80s Flashback is a show where I do not just the 80s, but I do a trivia show. And what I'll do is I'll take this week in a certain year of the 1980s and give you the top 20 countdown, okay, of the week's top 20 hits and trivia, what was on TV at that time, news headlines, stuff like that. So it kind of takes you back. It's kind of a neat trivia show. And then I give you the number 1 song from that week. And then 80s hits, that's what it is. Again, automated filler, 80s favorites. That's pretty much what it is. It's just automated, nonstop 80s. And that doesn't include, again, voice-tracked music, voice-tracked shows, voice-tracked reruns of previous shows. I air those too. So what that means is that I will play back an older show, but I will insert, what am I trying to say? I will put in the local weather on the 5s, for example. Weather on the 5s. I'll put weather on the 5s on, okay? And it will be the current weather forecast. Not the weather forecast on the broadcast, because a lot of times that's old material. I don't want to put a defunct weather forecast on there. So I always replace the weather forecast before I re-air them. Okay, either that or I just clip the weather forecast out completely. So that's pretty much how that works out, basically. And then we go to the talk shows. This is where I'm talking about the rotation. Okay, under the talk show genre here includes the following, and including Bible study. This will be the Bible discussion of what we talk about, we record at the church, the Bible studies that we might have later with me and Lori. We were talking about a program together, so we're talking about that coming up. Bible study, basically what that is talking about the book of Revelations lately. Talking about it. This is a group discussion. Under that, of course, again, is the Gary Russin program. That's our news talk, political commentary, and that includes all the Gary Russin programs. My regular Gary Russin program, 3 to 6 p.m. in the afternoon, which I'm planning on for next week. The evening edition, which is the evening version of the Gary Russin program, usually airing from 8 p.m. to 11. And that's the regular Gary Russin program in the evening. And then the Saturday Extra, which is the Saturday edition. Now, that is usually the show in which I have Ben Osman Osen on as a guest. And he'll usually come on that program, and we'll talk about what's going on in the news and stuff. But lately, Ben's been so busy, and he's been not able to make his program. So I kind of put it on suspension for a while until he's free to do it. And I told him, email me. When you're ready, email me and let me know when you're available to do the program, and we'll set it up. But please let me know if you are available to do that program and not be on call. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm going to say that. I'm going to leave a message for him. If you're available to do the program, great, but let me know if you're available to do the program, but please do not be set up to be on call, okay? Because I just, tired of being stood up on that department. And I know you're not doing it on purpose. It's just that if you are available, great, but if you're going to be on call, it really, the show suffers because I lose a guest. Now, I saved a couple of shows by having backup guests. Recently, it had been happening twice. Recently, I had Caramel Conservative on, Ed Delgado was on one of our shows. And then another time, Ben didn't show up. I had Blake Myers call me because he was going to have his bike in. He's doing has a unicycle that he's riding in the, the Ragbri here in Iowa, bike race. And I had him on. So that kind of saved a couple of shows. But I really want to know if you are able to do the program and not back out on me. And that means not being on call. Making sure that you can do the program and not have to back out on me. So that is the whole idea behind that whole thing. I want to be able to have you do the show, but I don't want to have to find another backup guest. Then I was talking about the video version. Now I have to work on the what's going on with my XSplit broadcaster. I'm going to have to do a test broadcast. I'm going to have to find out what's going on with this XSplit broadcaster. Because it seems to me like I'm having a bit of a problem getting on YouTube. So I'm going to have to do some messing around with that. The commercial on there, I'm going to have to delete off and make a better one. I like that commercial, but it echoes too much. So I'm going to make it better. I'm going to revise it and make it better. Because that commercial on there is pretty bad now. And so I'm going to take that off. And now that they changed the EasyVid, I'll be able to reproduce that commercial. So I'm going to reload it and put it back up on the computer and reload it onto my XSplit for run. So, but that XSplit works. It's just I have to go back now. And I haven't been on it since late last year. So there might have been some changes made in the XSplit that I have to work on to try to get back on. So I'm going to be working on that one. Radio, television, and movie classics. That's my movie trivia show. Trivia, television, radio, and music in drive-in movie obscurities. This is a great show. I love doing this program. But it's, again, a show that's highly contented. Because I find a lot of these material, all these features like the retro prime time, all that, I have to have a show order. I have to have a rundown for that program. Same with Way Out There. Basically a rundown. I have to have all my features in order so that I get them all in. So with that case, that takes a little bit more high content. So it takes a little bit more work to put together. So what I have to do there is work on some more shows in advance. So some of those shows might end their seasons early this summer. I might do one more episode, and then I'm going to put that season 1 to an end. Because I'm only going to probably have season 1 with one season's going to have maybe 10 to 13 to maybe 20 episodes before I flip over to a new season. So with that in mind, I might think about starting a new season of radio, television, and movie classics and ending this season with one more episode. So I'm going to probably work on that one. I don't know when I'll have that on, but I'll work on that one for possibly airing in June. Okay, so that for radio, television, and movie classics. And I think next season for radio, television, and movie classics, I might do a video version of that show too. Because I think that would be a cool show to do as a video. And maybe get some listeners with a trivia. It could get better. It could get better. I'm not saying it's going to, but, never know. Radio, television, and movie classics airing on GJRB Online regularly the second week of the month, second Friday of the month at 3 o'clock Central Time. But like I said, under this new schedule plan, it's going to be a little different. The last 7 days is another, like the Bible study, group discussion program, which is recorded at the Church of Christ. I have our Pastor Ron Johnston as the host. And that program, again, is a prophecy, talking about prophecy, end time events, Armageddon events. And basically, that's what that show's about. End time prophecy, talking about the coming of the Antichrist, talking about the temple and all that in Israel, various things like that. We always constantly talking about news events, that, and you hear the promos for it right here on GJRB. It's about the news stories and how they are lining up with the Bible prophecy. All the news stories that are out and how this is all lining up, because it is lining up to something, folks. I've got to tell you, Christ is on his way back, and we need to take that seriously. And we're doing this program that way to talk about the importance of paying attention to what's going on with end time prophecy. Sports page. That's my sports talk show. Didn't get to do a sports page segment on my Gary J in the morning, but that's okay. Regularly, I'm going to be going back to that. I got to practice that. It's going to be one of my prep things I got to work on. Getting my sports getting my sports reports ready. I'm kind of slacking in that department, but I'll be working on it. But my sports page is my sports talk show. Now, usually that's heard alternating Saturdays along with my Bluegrass Jubilee, my Bluegrass Jubilee, my Classic Country, and the Blues Show, the Blues House. So it kind of gets alternated in alternating weeks under that. The Blues House is under my music alternate format, which I don't have written in there, but I'll have it written when this video, you're seeing it now. So I'm going to add that in to the roundup under format number 7, Blues. Okay, format number 7, the Blues House, which is blues music. So that's format number 7. Okay, and there you go. Format number 5 is country western, bluegrass, and adult standards and big bands. Format number 4. So we have one more format to add in there. Okay, so that's how that's going to go. And then finally, way out there, talking about the strange, the bizarre, the unusual. My Spreaker version, GJRB version of Spaced Out Radio and Coast to Coast, where I talk about the strange, the unusual. I have a new feature called Slapped Ham, which is kind of a funny name, but this guy is good. His name is Callan. I'm trying to get a hold of him for a guest spot. This guy has some of the most outrageous stories, and he talks about some of the weirdest stuff. I mean, some of it is paranormal, but a lot of it is kind of fun, too. He talks about people who stumble into interdimensions, people who stumble into parallel realities. I've had a couple of really interesting stories from my last show about a woman who stumbled into a parallel reality version of her hometown, where things were different and things were strange, and the house that she lived in wasn't there, stuff like that, kind of thing. And it's kind of a neat show. I love doing this, way out there, and talk about other stuff. And I have a feature going on right now talking about hell, and so we're going to have I'm going to continue that segment about hell on my next show, talking about some more people who have visited hell and came back. I have another segment with that Bill Weiss, who wrote that book, 24 hours, something like that. 23 Hours in Hell, that's what it was. And he has another video that he just made recently, and I'm going to play that on my next show. And it's a real good segment. So you're going to want to tune in to my next Way Out There show, as I'll be talking about that. Real good piece. So you want to listen to that. I've been working on that program for some time. It's going to be pretty good. And, of course, my continuing series on technocracy. was a book written by a guy who his name is Patrick Wood. He wrote a book called Technocracy Rising. He talks about how this whole thing, technocracy, was created way back in the 1930s. And he talks about how this technocracy is being used to control the masses, and how they're using smartphones, smart meters, smart TVs, various things like that to control the mass media. It's very interesting, and we're into the fifth part of that series, and I'll be bringing that to you on the next Way Out There show. So that'll probably be ending, I think, that season of Way Out There, is I'm going to be writing out some more shows. So I'm going to probably end that season with that particular show, because I don't remember exactly what episode number I'm on that. Way Out There. I think it's 106. I don't know. I'll have to look at the last episode of that to find out where I left off on that. Way Out There. I could go into my Spreaker public site here real quick and check and see the last episode of that program. But that is exactly what we got there. Now, coming up in the next segment, I'm going to be talking about how this schedule is going to work, how we're going to, how the programs are going to air, how the rotation's going to go, and how we're going to do things. So, tune in for that. That's coming up next. Let's see, Way Out There. I'm going to go down the page. I'm going to figure that it's down the page here a little bit. It was episode 107. So we're at 107. Why don't we have a few more episodes and end the season at 110? Okay, 110. We'll end the season about 110. Let's see how that works. Either 110 or 115. And so we're going to keep the season going, and then I'm going to take a break about August for that show and do another episode at maybe like one. I'm going to say let's go back to 110 or 111, depending on how much shows I get written. If I get written anymore, great. If not, we'll end the season around August for that particular show. All right, and let's see. I thought what we'll do right now is take the program break here. We're heading about 7 minutes left of this segment. So I thought what we'll do right now is kind of get ready for the next part. So in this final segment, we're going to talk about how we're going to do this program schedule, how it's going to all look at the end, how the rotation's going to work, and how each broadcast is going to be on the air almost every day. So we're going to talk about that next as we continue the GJRB Schedule Update podcast after this break on the GJRB Online Network.
You hear great jazz on GJRB with the best of jazz, up-and-coming jazz, and smooth afternoon. If you can't get enough of jazz and you live in the Quad Cities area, tune in to KALA, St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, at 88.5 on the FM dial. Along with some of that great smooth jazz, you'll hear a lot of great jazz programming. And programming in other great music formats, like blues, urban, including rap, also classic R&B and Motown with David Baker on Rewind, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central. In addition, you get programming in Spanish and some great gospel programming too. For more information on that great programming you'll hear, check out their schedule at www.sau.edu/KALA. Even if you don't live in the Quad Cities area, you can enjoy KALA anywhere in the world with their internet stream. Connect with KALA. Listen and enjoy. Recently, the owner of Facebook had to face Congress over personal information on Facebook users. In addition, users were saying that their postings were being deleted. Getting sick and tired of your censorship and your data being used without your permission? Do something about it now. Come to MeWe, the internet social site that values your freedom. No more deleted postings. Make a step to freedom. Sign up today. It's easy. Go to www.MeWe.com. That's M-E-W-E. MeWe, the internet's free speech social site.
End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end-time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB.
You never know when GJRB is going to be on the air. More programming, more often, on the internet, on GJRB.